Hey guys, it's Emersat. The first Windows 11 Insider build has been released to Windows Insider developers recently, and I have gotten my hands onto the new version. Keep in mind that this has been installed on a VM, so that to ensure that my main machine doesn't get screwed up by anything, so the performance doesn't reflect my actual host OS. Windows 11 system requirements are quite high, and most old laptops will not be supported for this new OS. Luckily, I was able to upgrade my laptop back in February from an old HP ProBook 4530S. Anyways, let's jump into it. The first obvious change to Windows 11 is the brand new UI. Microsoft has decided to add rounded corners to all Windows. Literally everything is rounded. So the rounded corners give the OS a more cleaner experience, and it does of course remind me of Mac OS, which I feel like that's what the UI changes are based on. Windows added a more consistent UI to most of the built-in programs, which is quite nice. So for example, if I right click on the file explorer, you see you got the rounded corners, right? Rounded same right click UI, and then you right click here and it's the same thing as well here. So that's one thing I like, is the consistent UI. Microsoft was able to pull this off, which is great because they failed on the last version, which is the last version of Windows 10. They failed miserably with this type of consistent UI. It was literally everywhere. So I've been waiting for a long time for a consistent UI design to be in place for the new version, and it's actually here. If you didn't catch what I said most built-in, because some programs like the control panel doesn't match with the UI. So if I go here in the control panel, you see it's the same old basic menu with your system, security, user accounts, network and internet, appearance and personalization, hardware and sound, clock and read, you know your usual. So they didn't change the control panel. So some UI changes in the new Windows 11, but there are some places in this new operating system where they didn't change anything. It's not an issue for me, honestly, because I really do not care, because I don't use the control panel that most of the time, so it's not going to bother me. So yeah, so they added a more consistent UI to most of the built-in programs. So that's one thing I like about the new OS. Back to the point. One UI change you will immediately see is the new taskbar design. So as you can see that the icons are now center default. So some people might not, I've heard some people might not like that, because it's quite understandable, because we have been used to taking your mouse and going to the bottom left where the start menu would be, but now you have to change up your habits and you have to click here. So not only that, the taskbar moves dynamically while you're adding icons or see. So for example, if I want to add something like the notepad, like pinned to taskbar, you can see it moves along while the icons are being added. So you're gonna have to constantly keep going over here, so you have to keep changing up your habits. You still can take this start button and move it to the left still. If you don't like centered icons, you can simply change it back to the left by going to settings and then click personalization, and then scroll down here, go to taskbar, and then once taskbar loads up, you go to taskbar behaviors and then go here, taskbar alignment, click left, and then there you go. You got your classic icons on the bottom left, which people are pretty much used to, accustomed to, but for now I'm just gonna keep it in the center because yeah. Okay, so the icons in the taskbar have been changed. So some of these icons have been changed. For example, of course, the start button has been changed from 3D squares to flat 2D, which they're going for the simplification. Just like every logo, they want to make it oversimplified, but I do not have a problem. But so they have the new start icons. The new icons is the search icon, the task view icon, the new widgets, which I'll go over later, and the file explorer icon has been changed, and the Microsoft Store logo icon has been changed. So you're getting a new icons right here. I feel, honestly, how I can describe them is just they feel a bit more colorful. They just feel more colorful. They more pop out. I like the gradients as well. It just like matches along with the entire brand new design. So that's one thing I like. On the right of the taskbar, you get the clock, the usual clock and date, and you got your the little icons, the settings, the taskbar icons. But if you noticed, the day of the week isn't present on the bottom right. So on the leaked build, it showed the day of the week, but for this build, the official build, it has been removed, which I actually kind of like, because on the leak build, it just feels like it doesn't fit. It just like they just squished it in there, and then the text was almost coming out of the taskbar. It just doesn't look right. So I'm kind of glad they removed the day of the week anyways, but it might be a bit disappointing to some people, but honestly for me, it does kind of looks nice. It's better. On the right of the taskbar, you will notice a bit of some changes. First of all, you can notice that the notification button has been removed in favor of importing the action center to the clock and the time. When you click that, you reveal the all new action center, which I really like because I really like the floating design. I really like how clean it looks. I just find it better than the old one. So your notifications right here, and you get your calendar right here. It just feels better. And also, if you notice, your actions are gone. You're gone from here. So now the actions right here, they have been moved right here to the taskbar icons, which reveals this Chrome OS looking control center, where you got your typical actions right here. You got your Bluetooth. Okay, so usually there would be like a brightness slider right here, but this is a VM, so it doesn't show up. There's a lot more buttons on here on the actual host OS, like on your main OS, but main computer. But here, this is a VM, so not much is happening right here. So you got your airplane mode, your night light, your focus assess. There would be a bit more on here, honestly. So again, this is a VM, so this is doesn't show that much. So again here, so you got your edit tool. So edit what icons you can add here. You can just add what keyboard layout. So yeah, so you got your controls here. You got your slider, your volume slider, and yeah. Another taskbar redesign is, of course, the start menu. I really like this new start menu design. It honestly just feels a bit better than on the Windows 10 version, where it just feels like on the Windows 10 version, honestly, just feels everywhere. It just feels a bit everywhere, and with this new version, it just feels less all over the place and more organized and a bit easier to use. I also like there's a recommended section, so you can easily access your apps you've been using. It even includes files too. So if you want to look into that, you can go click here. You can go to picture, something like that. Open up a picture. It's actually much better than on the Windows 10 start menu. So I really love that feature. It may be a bit little, but it's a pretty good feature to have. So this UI design, it reminds me, of course, of Chrome OS, because you have the start menu and you've got the pop-up and you got your apps right here. You scroll down, it just gives me that Chrome OS vibe. So basically, this design in Windows 11 feels like Mac OS and a bit of Chrome OS, basically. More Chrome OS, pretty much like the taskbar, but the Mac OS thing is the centered icons and all that stuff, So it's quite a lot of similarities here. We'll go over to the search tool. If you go to the search here, not much has changed on the search tool, So the UI is pretty much like Windows 10. Nothing has really much changed here, except one new feature with the search tool is you can hover over it and you can literally just search whatever you want. So basically, like, search, and then you can like get to quick settings or something like that. So that's one little feature on here. So if you wanna do your little things, all that. Not that much has changed for that one. Okay, so the task view has new features on here, such as now, instead of clicking it like before, you can click it and then do your desktop stuff, like put multiple desktops. Now you can literally just hover over it and then switch to a desktop. As simple as that. It's more simple. It's more quicker. It's more I feel like the focus here is how easy to use or something like that. And I really like how fast this is, like really quick and easy to use, albeit like I like that. But but still, you can literally just click that and then do your normal task view stuff, and you can delete, you can close apps and stuff, settings. You can literally just close whatever you want. So it's just like Windows 10 task view, but an added feature where you can just hover it and then go to add your desktops, go to different desktops, and it just makes it more easier to use. Now, let's move on to the redesigned built-in apps, such as, for example, the settings. The entire app has been fully redesigned, and the new redesign makes things feel a lot more accessible and easier to get to. The redesign also reminds me of iOS with having the categories on the left. So like on iOS, or I mean iPadOS, you have your categories on the left, so you can scroll through System, Bluetooth, and Devices, and you have your actual settings on your right, which is a great feature actually for update. Actually, this is a great feature because on the old settings, there's no one side is options and the other side is more options. There's just one full screen. And if you want to get to another setting that is in a different subcategory, you have to go back and then you have to go to that setting and then scroll through and keep finding. It just feels a bit more cumbersome. With the new settings, you don't have to do that anymore, you don't have to do that anymore. And getting to the settings you want is a bit more easier and smooth. So for example, like if I'm really deep down into the settings, so for example, if I'm going through here, I don't have to keep clicking back, and just go here. And if I want to change a theme, go to personalization. We'll go over this in a minute, so yeah. And if I want to do some themes there and then go back here, click apps, it just feels more smooth. It just feels like less tedious to use, basically. So you don't have to keep going back anymore. You can literally just click, like, go through, and then you got into your setting, basically. So I like this. So the entire God redesign. So among one of these settings I really want to go over is the personalization. So on the themes here, the themes are now more easier to apply because of the 6 settings that are added. So for example, if I want to have sort of like, for example, let me add the this theme. If I want to do that theme, I can literally just click it and let it do it. So it's not that fast on the VM, first of all, and I pretty much said that a million times, but like, yeah, it's really nice to have like some presets, so it's easier to use and you don't have to like keep clicking. Yeah, I have a live background, so it doesn't change. So what it's supposed to do is to click it and you've got your theme right there. So that's what it's supposed to do. But here it's quite slow, so apologize for that. One thing is that to note is that switching light and dark modes isn't that smooth. So as you saw, it took a long time. Well, especially because I'm recording. It's faster than I'm not recording, but still, it's kind of slow. So that's one thing they might have to fix for that, but I know they might fix it for the later build. I hope they do. I hope they fix some of these bugs though. But I know they will do it. So another new feature in the settings is in the battery settings. So if you go to power, you should be able to see the amount of battery used for each app you have used. Unfortunately, because this is a VM, it doesn't show all the battery information because of the fact that this is a VM. So normally, in the normal computer, you would go here and then you would see like your how much battery your apps have been using, and you can see below here what apps are using the most battery and stuff, and you have like a little graph on the top, but not here, not in this not here. I won't be able to demonstrate that, unfortunately. Pretty much here, everything is the same. All the settings are the same except the taskbar settings. So for example, if I go back here to taskbar settings, where here you can, in the taskbar settings, where you want to position your icons, like for in the left, and here I don't see where you can position your taskbar differently, like for say if you want to position this taskbar to the left or to the right or the top. You can't do that in this version, unfortunately. So for those, that's going to significantly affect my theme. I'll put up a picture of my theme right here. So taskbar on the top, a dock on the bottom. That's going to significantly affect that theme because of the fact that there's no taskbar positioning option on Windows 11. So for those having themes, that's going to affect that that's going to affect your theme a lot. Overall, I really love the new settings app. I love how clean it looks. I love how easily accessible options are now, and the fact I really love all the new redesigns in the new settings. I feel like it's more easier to use, and access is it just looks more clean and fits all the themes and all that. Okay, let's move on to the File Explorer. The Explorer has a bit of a redesign, but not as major as people think it would. On the top, you have a brand new redesigned menu bar, which is quite nice and much more of an improvement on the old one. So on the old one, it's pretty much the old one was a ribbon, but now they made it more modern, and it's now just icons and lists instead. It just looks more cleaner, and it fits the theme, and it just feels more accessible. It just feels more easier to use again. So if I could go to Documents, I can click New, a new folder, and then you can just rename it something like Homework Winky Smiley Face. I really like that. I feel like I might use this more because and then if you can just highlight it, there's supposed to be icons right here, but I don't know where they're at, so I don't know. Another new redesign here is the icons. The icons now have a more gradient feel and more matching icons, like unlike in the old version where it's like everywhere. So like it's more of a clean, and it's more flat. I would say it's more flatter than the old version, and it's a bit more colorful instead of just boring yellow. So I just like these new icons. They just pop out a bit more, and then they look more appealing to look at on Windows 11 than on Windows 10. So, but other than that, the layout is pretty much the same. It's pretty much Windows. They just built on Windows 10's design and then added more stuff here, basically. I'm hoping to see they refresh the File Explorer a bit more in later builds, but for now, this is a good step. This is a good step up. So, I'm hoping to see more updates to the File Explorer in later builds. The final redesign we will go over is the Microsoft Store. This one is going to be a big update because one, the new redesign, and it feels more organized. It just feels more app story. And two, Android apps are now supported for Windows for the OS, which means that you don't have to download third-party emulators like BlueStacks anymore to use your favorite apps on your computer. So basically, you don't have to, if you want to play, Among Us for free, well, it's not free on the computer, so you need to buy it, but you don't need, what I'm trying to say is that you don't need BlueStacks or some Android emulator to play these games anymore, your Android games anymore, so that's going to be a big thing. I don't know what they will happen to third-party emulators, the fact you don't need them anymore to use these, but this is among one of the major changes that some people may appreciate having this now. So, and when we're talking about redesigns, you can come here, you can look at your apps and stuff, you can look at the ratings, the descriptions, the features. It just feels more organized. But having the Android apps here is a major step up for the Microsoft Store, and I feel like people are going to use the Microsoft Store more now because of the fact that Android apps are now supported, and BlueStacks isn't really much in need anymore. But there's one caveat. This is not the Google Play Store, rather Microsoft used the Amazon App Store, which is kind of odd because developers mostly publish either the App Store or the Play Store, and the Amazon App Store is just there. It's just a side store. It's just a store for another type of. It's just a side store for another you know, platform or Amazon products, Amazon tablets, Amazon, yeah. So really, you probably might not be able to find some of your apps on here, which is quite odd. Quite of an odd choice, by the way, because of the fact that developers mostly publish to either the App Store or the Play Store. So having Amazon App Store as this is quite of an odd choice. Now it's time to move on to the features. First feature I would like to showcase is the new multitasking feature, where if you hover over to the maximize button, you will get this little bubble where it gives you a set of multitasking position options for, say, if you want to get one program here, and then if you want to have another program, like for example here, you got that option, and so on. You can have a little grid if you want, four window grid. Feels more convenient than having to drag this over here. So like drag this over here, and then what, I don't know, freaking get the App Store, yeah, the Microsoft Store, and then grabbing this and then resizing it. It just feels less cumbersome, and it's more convenient to use. And I feel like this is going to up the game for multitasking, which for some people is quite important, especially me. I do some multitasking, so this one might be a big improvement for me. Now the fact that it's having to drag these windows around, you don't have to drag these windows around, and it's more easily accessible. I like that feature. So this will improve your workflow if you're really into that. Another new feature is the widgets app. So you click here, and then a menu will pop up here which shows all of your widgets which you have, if it even loads. This basically shows your weather, your stock market watch list, your photos, and your sports, and you know, all that good stuff. These widgets can be customizable by clicking on the dots, and if it loads the dots and then click large, you can expand these if you want. So basically flexible editable widgets, just like iOS. But the thing is, you can't drag these widgets onto your desktop, which is quite unfortunate. Well, you were kind of like, some people tried it on the leaked build. It literally just sends you to it just creates a Microsoft Edge icon on your desktop. So that gave us a clue that they probably won't be able to add draggable widgets to the desktop. So it would be cool if I add something like a Twitter widget or a mail widget or something like that, which is not on here for now. But I see them adding something like that in a later build, which is gonna be pretty good. But overall, this new widget app is a nice addition. So it's like a reincarnation of Vista and 7's gadgets, which were removed for 8, 8.1, and 10, which was because of security reasons. But now they sort of added it back as widgets. One last but very important feature to Windows 11 is the better gaming performance. Windows 11 introduces two new features like Auto HDR and Direct Storage, which were both introduced on the Xbox Series consoles. What Auto HDR does is allow HDR games to be easier to turn on so that games would look better, and another important feature called Direct Storage, where instead of having to load through the CPU and then the graphics card to load assets, it just directly loads all the assets onto the GPU instead, so that the CPU performance doesn't slow down and really improve the performance a lot. These features are a really big deal for gamers. The Xbox app will now be built into the Windows 11, and Xbox Game Pass subscribers can not only download from all the games it offers, but able to stream titles with Xbox Cloud Gaming, which allows crossplay between PCs and consoles. If you're also into that may also be a big deal for you. So overall, Windows 11 was able to offer great little features and a whole redesign. But the compatibility thing is a major issue at the moment, which probably Microsoft will hear all about and come up with the less demanding requirements. I give this new OS a 7 out of 10. While it may be somewhat of a great update, there's some things in the OS that is quite lacking, which shouldn't be excusable for about 5 years of development. But I can't really complain too much because this is the first preview build and I expect new features coming later during the development builds. I will probably cover new features on later builds that do come out, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like to show your support. I do have more tech related videos like the unboxing videos I made, so please check them out if you are interested. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel to be first on the newest content that gets published. Follow my Twitter to keep up on what I'm doing, and if you really want to support my channel, follow my Patreon to see exclusive content. Anyways guys, this is Nimmersat and good night.